Hello, dear ANA community. What do you mean by role model? What is the significance of role model in learning a subject? What is the significance of role model learning the Roga Nidana subject or Ayurveda diagnostics is the discussion of today's video. Dear ANA community, press the thumbs up and press the bell icon so that the YouTube algorithms will be fetching you the right information at the right time for the right purpose. Don't forget to spread this particular video to maximum number of true Nidana learners so that we can make a huge movement out of this particular small message. When you think about the role model, regarding the role model, the word role model refers to the person who is knowing something more from you. Maybe in terms of the one attribute, maybe in terms of the two attribute, maybe in terms of the three or more attributes. So that will be considered as role models. When you think about the role models, why we need to know about the multiple people has to be kept as role model? There is a question comes. Some of the people they will say only one role model can be kept, but that is not so because no single person is expert in all attributes. In the sense, no single person is able to manage financial management, or no single person or is having the equally in terms of public speaking skills or communication as such or entrepreneurship. So like that, all these may be the skill in different individuals. You have to identify what is that particular one attribute so that is more valuable, that is more in terms of the what do you say that the uh, giving the more values to the people as such. You have to identify that particular value and then you have to try to inculcate within you. So for that reason the role models are coming into picture. When you think about the overall development as such, you are the student of Roga Nidana. So that means you have to identify one student who is considered to be more valuable or doing the more learning, then you have to identify him and you have to try to follow him what he is doing. Based on that, you are going to get the learning of the subject in the same way, or you are going to see the Ayurveda doctor as such. Identify one particular Ayurveda doctor who is giving more values to the maximum number of people. So try to identify what is that particular skill he is having and how he is doing that particular skill. You have to do as he is doing. Or whenever if you think about the financial management, identify one person who can do the better financial management and try to follow that. You will be getting the result at the earliest. Or otherwise, public speaker. When you think about public speaker, so identify one particular person in the field of specifically Ayurveda who is doing the public speaking and try to identify what that skill he is having so that he can able to communicate or he can able to communicate emotionally with maximum number of people, thereby try to identify that particular attribute, then try to inculcate it. Entrepreneurship. Who is that particular entrepreneur in the field of Ayurveda practice and try to identify what is that particular one skill. The same way, life design, YouTuber, social media influencer, Ayurveda practitioner, and corporate trainer. Try to identify the one person in all these areas. Try to look into what is that particular skill he is repeatedly doing so that he can able to connect more people, giving more values to the society, thereby try to inculcate it so that will be becoming the source for your overall development. When you think about the role model in terms of the Ayurveda, so these are the some areas. So first of all, Ayurveda educationist, who is considered to be the giving the more values in Ayurveda education itself. How to understand the dosha analysis, how to understand the panchakarma procedures in terms of the dosha as such. So like that, and how to identify the research and innovation in Ayurveda education as such. So all those aspects, look into that. Who is doing that? Follow him. You will be getting the, what do you say, that the success in this particular field of this integrative medicine, in the sense who is considered to be applying the principles of physics, chemistry and biology, physiology and pathophysiology, and how he is going to integrate these informations in terms of the Ayurveda practice. Try to identify him or her, follow him or follow her. Emergency care. What kind of the emergency care that can be, they are being practiced, identify that particular person. What are the measures that will be taken by the ingredients present in the kitchen? Who is going to do and giving the maximum result? Look into that. So you will be getting the result if he is doing that successfully. Social media influencer. Who is the one particular social media influencer in the field of Ayurveda? Identify him. Panchakarma practitioner. Who is that particular Panchakarma practitioner who is practicing and giving more values to the people who are suffering? So you are going to get the result by following his or her one particular great quality. Entrepreneurship. Who is the entrepreneur in the field of Ayurveda? What he is doing, how he is doing, what is the end result he is getting? Try to connect them, try to follow them. So you are going to have the result at the short possible amount of time. Plant growth, in the sense, what kind of the plants you are growing, what kind of the methods required for the cultivation of those plants as such. So that means you have to take the help of the Dravya Guna Vijnana person as such, or the teachers of Dravya Guna as such. Pharmacy development. How to develop a pharmacy? What are the ingredients? What are the basic necessities required for the development of pharmacy? How we are going to prepare the medicines as such. So those aspects, for this you need to require help of the Rasa Shastra and Vaishajya Kalpana with the specialist as such. Research and development. What kind of the research is going on? How this is helping in the development of this particular Ayurveda science as such. If you are identifying one particular individual who is working on this, you are going to have the success in the field of Ayurveda as such. Innovation practice. What kind of the innovation practices they are being practiced? So try to identify one role model in that particular idea, so that you can have the your own innovation practices as such, so that you are going to have the better development in the field of Ayurveda as such. Now coming to the subject of Roga Nidana. How to identify the role models in Roga Nidana as such. So there are certain areas. So we are going to look into that, how these are being practiced by different Roga Nidana persons. You are going to have the better understanding. For example, dosha dysfunction identification. How the dosha dysfunction is being identified. For example, pain in the lower abdomen. Probably Apanavata dysfunction may be considered. In the sense, the reasons which are responsible for the vitiation of Apanavata can be considered as the main cause. So like that. Samprapti identification. Who is that particular person who can do the Samprapti identification well? What is the actual Nidana exposure by an individual? Which particular Bahya Srotas these uh, Nidana or etiological factors are exposed? What particular type of the dysfunction is happening inside the body? That means where these Nidana, they are going to do the dysfunction in the body. Is it in the mouth itself, or is it in the stomach itself, or small intestine, large intestine, or is it in the blood itself, or is it in the interstitial space, or is it in the intracellular space as such? So that is how the Samprapti identification can be considered. Roga Marga determination. Which particular Roga Marga affliction is there? Is it Abhyantar Roga Marga, or is it Bakhya Roga Marga, or is it Madhyama Roga Marga? So determination as such, if identify one particular individual in that particular regard, so you are going to have the learning of Roga Nidana very well. Regarding the patient examination skills, what kind of the patient the examination has to be performed? If the person is suffering from respiratory disease or pranavas roto vikara, how we are going to approach that particular person? How regarding the assessment of pranavah srotodushti, or regarding the purishava srotodushti, or regarding the raktavaha srotodushti, how we are going to analyze the person is suffering from those kinds of the diseases. So for that, so this particular skill is required. Nidana identification. What particular Nidana is exposed by an individual? In Sushruta Samhita itself, more than 3000 plus Nidana are there. The sense, so we are going to identify which particular nidana an individual is exposed. So that is itself is a skill. Try to identify who is doing that particular activity or skill. Try to follow him. You are going to become excelled in this particular skill itself. Entrepreneur. What kind of the enterprise is being practiced in the field of Roga Nidana? For example, one particular such type of the skill is Nadi Tarangedi as such. Regarding the YouTuber as such, this is considered to be the newer technique as such, so that having the development of the video and spreading this particular video to the Ayurveda learners itself. Identify one particular person who is doing that, follow him, you are going to get the result. Authorship of the book, that means authoring a book. So nowadays several varieties of books are there regarding the printed books or audio books or e-books, etc. Try to be that, or simply the blog writing, etc. So like that. So follow that who is excelled in that and follow him. You are going to get the result as such. And research and development. What kind of the research and development are taking place in the Roga Nidana? Try to identify one particular person, follow him, you are going to get the result as such. Innovation practices. What kind of the innovation practices are being followed in the subject of Roga Nidana? So follow him or her, you are going to get the result in the short possible amount of time. Now, what are the basic 6 steps that are helpful in identifying the role model? First of all, brainstorm the list. What you want to achieve. In the sense, brainstorming the list of the subjects as such. So that means, so here that is considered to be identifying your values. What you want to achieve. I want to achieve the dosha dysfunction, or whether I want to have the Samprapti identification accurately, or I have to identify the Roga Marga identification accurately, or should I be excelled in patient examination skills, or is it should I be excelled in identifying the exact Nidana or accurate Nidana as such, or is that I require what is the updates in this particular subject of Roga Nidana? So like that, brainstorm the list and start the core search of in the sense the search as this is the second step. So that means core values or beliefs or special characters you admire. Try to identify what kind of the qualities that you like to admire in this particular subject. Is it the Nidana identification, or is it the dosha dysfunction identification, or is it the Samprapti identification, or is it the Roga Marga identification as such? Then the third step comes. Do the research. What, in the sense, you are going to identify each and every skill, try to identify the one person who is excelled in that particular activity. For example, so who is doing the dosha dysfunction assessment well? Who is doing the Samprapti identification well? Who is doing the Rogamark identification well? Try to identify and observe how they are practicing your learnable skill. So how they are practicing dosha dysfunction assessment, how they are practicing Samprapti identification assessment, how they are going to identify Roga Marga assessment as such. So try to identify the researching in that particular regard who are doing that. Then comes the fourth step. Understand what makes them special. In the sense, you are going to identify one or two people in one particular assessment as such. That is the what do you say that the dosha dysfunction identification, identify what makes them special in having the developing that particular skill in them. What makes it special in identifying the samprapti as such? Try to identify that. And fifth step comes. Why do you admire these qualities? So that is, you have identified one or two qualities in your role model. Why you are admiring those qualities? So that means you have to identify the meaningful value in your life. In the sense, do you want to give the more values to the your patients or the to your the community? Try to add the connect the skill with that, so that will be giving you the actual reason for learning this particular subject itself. And the last one is, which one or two things you are gaining from these role models. Write it, observe it, and inculcate it within you. So that will be giving you the reason for your being in learning this particular subject of Roga Nidana as such. Now, regarding the, whenever if you think about the learning the subject as such, this will be the method of learning as such. Mindset, thought generation, feeling, action, result, and destiny. So the ideal way is from the mindset to destiny, but as we have attained, some of them might have attained 20 years, some of them might have attained 30, 40, 50 years as such. In that particular situation, so going from mindset to destiny is a little bit difficult. In that particular situation, we have to learn, we have to move from destiny to mindset as such. Try to identify the destiny, what you want to achieve. Based on that, you are going to do the, what do you say, that the action. So based on that action, you are going to get the necessary feeling, then thought process, then developing the mindset as such. So this will be that. So whenever if you think about the word meaning of this MTFARD, so that is learning mindset. You should have the proper learning mindset itself, which will be giving you the ideation. So that is what we can say the thought generation as such, wherein we are going to have the initiation of learning. So that means enthusiasm to learn that particular subject. Then we are going to look into the different textbooks of physics, chemistry, biology, physiology and pathophysiology, and Ayurveda textbooks. And based on that, you are going to get the deep learning in the subject of Roga Nidana. So thereby, you are going to create the masterpiece in the subject of Roga Nidana. Maybe it could be a textbook, or maybe it could be a gadget or app as such, or maybe it could be an audiobook as such, or maybe it could be a innovation as, so that you are going to contribute to the subject as well as the science as well as the society. So that means aligning this with the mindset and destiny that has to be done if you want to do something of a masterpiece like in the subject of Roganidhan as such. Of course, this can be applied to even any other subjects as such. If you want to do something excellent in that particular subject or area or discipline or domain. Regarding the mild role models in learning, so here from the my gurus, Professor V. Prasanna, I would like to inculcate how this fundamentals which are being explained in Charaka Samhita that can be learned so deeply. So I am going to inculcate it regarding the Professor G. Srinivas Acharya. I am learning how to do the differential diagnosis and how to do the patient examination so that we are going to make the accurate assessment as such. And from Professor Muralidhar Sharma, I am learning how this learning in the subject as such we can able to apply based on the current, what do you say, that the education techniques, current relevance we are going to learn from him as such. Not only from our teachers, I am going to learn from my students also. Because so these are the two students, Dr. Rajin Mohan and Dr. Basava Rajeshwari. These are the students who are actually learning this subject with passion. So that means they are going to get the develop the doubts, and from that I am going to learn how to clear those doubts as such. In this way, I am learning from my teachers. I am going to dissipate my learnings to my students. In this way, I am going to learn many of the things from each of them, and the list goes on. And the legacy of Roga Nidana and Vikrit Vijnana continues. Dear community, try to identify what is the one or two skill that you would like to learn, and try to inculcate who are the role models or who are the people who are going to do those activities, and try to inculcate one or two within you and practice it continuously and consistently. you will be getting the result in the short possible amount of time. That's all for today. What are the major key takeaways from today's discussion? Mention in the comment box below. What is the one video that you'd like to hear in the coming days in this particular channel? Mention in the comment box below and spread this particular video to maximum number of true Nidana learners so that we can make a huge movement out of this particular small message. Don't forget, press the bell icon so that the YouTube algorithms will be fetching you the right video for the right purpose at right time. That's all for today. Something more in the next video. Thank you.